All right. Awesome. So you're from the Bay Area, yeah?
I'm from the Bay Area, born and raised, and just moved to LA.
Very nice. What kind of stuff were you getting into as a kid over there?
As a kid, oh wow, like watching TV, like preteen, I was like watching TV, a lot of TV. Like my both my parents worked a lot, and I was watching a lot of television, like Nintendo, Ninja Turtle toys, action figures, like creative, like not creative, but I'm like imaginative kid, like playing with toys for hours. And then when I got a little older, like rollerblades and biking and like this is like the innocent period before we start to like look at getting into music and changing, getting a little darker. This is like when I was still like young Luke,
Yeah.
and optimistic, and before I was like swayed by the dark side.
When do you feel, did you make the shift into like being a bad kid?
Yeah, I was like a sweet kid, I feel like, but like I remember once I started playing music, I remember distinctly like wanting to be bad, and like that was going to be like a like a great excuse, or like the friends that I was hanging out with were just starting to do like little bad things, like you see a pack of Marlboro Reds and someone's like backpack and they're Jansport, or like like someone's got like rated R movies at Warehouse or Blockbuster, or like before we start like smoking weed and experimenting and stuff like that. There's that, as a kid it's like all this like innocent stuff, and then it's like Mighty Ducks and Ninja Turtles, and then it turns and it shifts like once we started getting into like Offspring and like Nirvana and like Green Day, like early Green Day, I mean.
It's a natural transition, and I will say this: Jansport seems to be like the backpack to store Marlboros in, especially Reds. I mean, I've seen that countless times, and
Yeah.
they're really holding court on that.
I mean, yeah, man. I mean, you got these young kids today with wearing their fanny packs wrong over their shoulder, but and I'm probably gonna get one, but but they're not as like clutch as like a '90s looking JanSport
Yeah,
with maybe even like what else would be in there? Like definitely some random rubber bands.
for sure.
Maybe a banana that's been in there way too long. It's like black, at that point.
Definitely. Like
Um,
he put it in there Monday, and we're looking at like Thursday afternoon. Like that's like that kind of thing. Yeah.
and it's hot, baby.
Yeah. And it's smushed, and you could tell it's smushed, but it's not seeping out of the peel yet. But it's like it's gross. That's
Definitely.
disgusting. Yeah.
You're like, and you're too irresponsible to like figure out what to do with it. You're like,
Yeah. Just whatever. I'll
just
leave
gonna
it.
leave it.
I'll deal
Yeah,
with it tomorrow. And that's what you said on Monday. And then, like I
yeah.
said, it's Thursday
And then you wake
afternoon.
up and you're 30. Yeah,
That's a progression of things. Yeah.
yeah, man.
Kids don't
That's
know.
awesome. Kids don't know. Yeah, JanSport though. Yeah, that's it's funny. Yeah, I could have said backpack, but it's like
No.
it's like a secret sponsor. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it is. Gen Sport. Buy them to put your Marlboros in.
Hmm. Marvel Reds. Yeah.
Marlboro
Um,
Reds.
but yeah, just normal dark side shit, I guess.
When did you first smoke weed?
I was a freshman in high school.
So 14, 15.
Yeah, like 14, like 14, 15 exactly. Yeah.
Did you,
Um,
did you get high the first time you smoked weed?
yeah, definitely. It was like a friend's house who lived really close to the high school.
It's always the thing. It's always
Really? Yeah, it's
I
like
mean
it's like the guy that plays guitar, yeah, who listens to Sublime. His
yeah.
parents aren't home, you know.
For some reason, yeah.
We would go
Uh
home and just get wasted at his house. It was great.
yeah, it always seemed like the troublemaking kids lived closer to the school, which was
That's
odd.
funny, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's funny. Like they planned it. Like
yeah.
it's like just living closer to the school makes them more messed up. Uh, they're lazier because they're late to school. They're usually like the ones that like even though they live close, they're still late.
It's
Because they're like,
exactly
oh, I'll get up whenever, and like
yeah.
they're like it's like they're just starting like bad behavior at an early age. Yeah,
Getting up 10 minutes before school starts. Yeah, that's the
falling back to sleep. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh man,
but
that's
yes,
so interesting that was the case for you, as it was for me. But yeah, you know what? I mean, And those
What were you
those
listening
kids
to?
are
Were
doing
you
well.
what were you listening to back then? For me, it was like Sublime, like after Brad Knoll had passed away,
Oh,
and it was
Sublime
like
with
that
Rome
record.
then. Oh, Sublime with
No,
Rome,
no, no,
that one.
pre Rome,
Oh,
yeah.
pre Rome. Okay.
It was like the Sublime, like they hit, like got huge, like MTV huge, went like after Brad, like right after that guy overdosed, and then there was like three songs off that record that like blew up, but he was dead. It was like it was weird. Like there'd be like, I think in the Santeria video, like it's just like a hologram or ghost of him like playing guitar with like
Yeah.
the Dalmatian. Yeah, but that was
Crazy.
early 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 stoner music. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I saw this meme of somebody who screenshotted something off of Twitter. It's like Sublime is made for people who have thrown up in the ocean. Like that's the that's the music for
I
them.
like that. I like that. It kind of captures a little bit of that broiness too, because like I feel like those guys were all like rowdy fools, like
For sure.
getting
Yeah.
wasted. Like no shade on Sublime or like Long Beach, but like
No, no,
yeah,
no, no, no. Yeah.
it's got that broy mentality, like, and it's
Long
like
Beach or
accessible.
Garden Grove, both of them
Yeah,
fine
it's
places.
like it's like good call, by the way. I was trying to think of like Riot, and like I was trying to think of other references, but I can't.
Yeah.
That was great though.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's like
wanted to help you out there.
accessible broy music. It's like underground enough because it's sort of skate punk or punk, and it's like but it's also like insanely broy too. Like it's
Yeah.
like if you go to a beach and there's someone with a bonfire, hypothetically, it would not be odd, or it would be fitting for someone to just start playing like What I Got, or like that riff, or like a Sublime song acoustically. A Punisher
100%.
would
Yeah.
punish you today, and it would be completely like no surprise at all. Be like, oh yeah, we're at the beach. Yeah.
I feel like at least I'll say 90% of the time that somebody has been playing music off of a speaker or off their phone at the beach, it's been Sublime. But Sublime
Oh my
is
God.
popped up for sure.
Do you see the change though? Do you see the change where I can talk about how it was early music that I loved as a kid, and then how it turned, and now I'm anti Sublime? Do you feel that?
Yeah.
That energy?
Yeah. I'm
It's
not there
funny.
yet. I
Yeah.
still like them. I would say, and I have said this before, I'll say it again. I think the best Sublime song is Seed. It's an underrated one. People kind of forget about it. It was in a Tony Hawk game. I love it. And I think that's the best Sublime song. And I'm gonna go on record saying that.
Okay. I don't know their songs quite as well. Like I probably know it because I played Tony Hawk, but is it more of the punk sounding stuff?
Yes. But
It's like more fun.
But it's also mellow. It gets mellow in the middle. It kind of like slows down and it gets into that like reggae kind of sounding, and then it goes
Best
fast
of both
again.
worlds.
Yeah,
Like classic 90s early ska punk song. Beautiful. Okay.
classic.
I'm into
for
it.
sure.
Like Badfish, was that or Pool Shark or something like that? Like, is that a Sublime track?
Badfish was yeah. Pool Shark. I don't. Maybe that's a deep cut that I'm not aware of.
Maybe it's called Badfish, but it's like just like really quick ska, beautiful like chord progressions. That's like I remember that being like one of my favorite Sublime songs, and I can't really remember the name, but I think it's Badfish. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. Badfish is it? Yeah, it's a very good one. Yeah,
Nice.
one of theirs for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Sublime. This is what it is now. We're not going to talk about any of your music. We're just talking about Sublime's music. So Bradley, no, man. Let me get into it with you. No,
sure. No. It's funny because I lived in SF, in the outer Richmond, which is like close to the Sunset. It's like the northern side of Golden Gate Park. It doesn't really matter, but in the Sunset was where Brad like passed away.
Yeah,
where he died. Yeah,
in that hotel, right?
You know it.
Oh, yeah, I know, dude.
Clean. Yeah. He was clean for a while. He gets a little like he does a sold out show at the Phoenix at theater. Goes to his head maybe a little bit. So the little voice is like, "You got this, bud. Like you're a star now." And then he shoots up. Doesn't realize that he can't handle because his body isn't as like used to it.
Detoxing, yeah.
Sad story.
It's tragic. And people still don't know who gave him the heroin. People still don't know. It's
Yeah.
still up to debate for now. And I remember watching the behind the music of Sublime, and man, that guy, I believe his name is Bud.
The bass
Um,
player.
I no the drummer, whatever his name was, not Bud.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Bud.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was upset about it. He was
Think
upset
that's
with
a
the
pod
guy.
reference too? You think he's like, my name's Bud?
Yeah, he could be a double
That
entendre
guy?
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like his parents named him Buddy,
yeah. And
and
he's
he
like,
went by
nope,
Bud for short. Yeah.
Bud. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's unique. I remember that, but I didn't remember the other guy's name, and I wish I did.
Yeah,
No
we remember
disrespect to
Rome. Yeah,
Sublime.
no disrespect. Yeah,
And
but
Rome
that's
to
so
Rome.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
Um,
what do you think about that sound? Real quick, and then we'll get off the Sublime
sure, sure,
train.
sure, sure. What do I
But
think about
Rome,
having a singer? Rome,
yeah,
the
that
idea of
guy.
that? Bizarre, bizarre. Like this is coming from someone on the like who doesn't follow their music like as much like as I did when I was like 14 and smoking pot for the first time. But it's insane that like a band has managed to stay together and find a singer that sounds like the original singer. Like who else has done that? Like Journey maybe.
Journey did for sure. Yeah,
But it's a crazy idea. It's just like it's just you would think naturally if you were in a band that you would just start a brand new band, but it's like I mean it's easy to criticize, but it's also like these are people's lives and it's like they want you to make money anyway, and these are like giant children, so it's like give them some credit. Like if they can get it, if they got to get it how they can, it beats
yeah,
like seeing like Bud working at Whole Foods. I'd
yeah.
rather see him on stage playing drums, in his element. Like little cowbell, like on his setups, like a little piccolo snare.
Yeah.
Like he's like, boys, gotta let the man like flourish, let him shine.
He kept the snare real tight on a couple
Oh
of those
yeah,
tracks for
oh
sure.
yeah.
And it sounds good. I like it. I like the sound of the tight, but it was real tight. Real.
He loves that piccolo snare. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so all the kids were doing it back then. You got 311. Even in their groove metal, they still had that spanky snare.
Yeah. You need it. If
Yeah,
yeah.
it's got to cut through. All that low end, all that drop C.
How much of an inspiration was your peers into what you were listening to music wise rather than anybody else?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Like my musical peers and how they've been versus like basic people, or versus like
No.
MTV.
I mean, just your peers in
Oh,
school. How much of an inspiration were they on
oh,
your?
100%, 100%. Like I hung out with mostly like punks, I guess, or like straight edge punks that all like went hard and like over like relapsed after high school, but like they were all, and I wasn't, but I was like friends with a lot of them, and like they were, I think I still have, I'm like the most posery punk person, but all my friends are still, a lot of them are in punk bands, and I think it has to do with humor. It has to do with like maybe a certain level of open-mindedness. It has to do with just like people being into like just like that dark side maybe stuff that I was talking about earlier, but also just like yeah, my friends were 100% like inspirational, like in introducing me to like at the music at the time, whether it was like Operation Ivy or whether it was like Tim Presley's earlier band from White Fence, Nerve Agents and things like that. And
Yeah.
but it just changes, like like you're young and you're like, we had to like kind of fight for like music and things a little bit more than kids did today. But that's such an old head thing to say, but I feel like friends still are, like I love DJs. Like I love talking about music with DJs. I learned so much about music from them. Most of my musician friends are like, I love talking about music with other people and just sharing to this day. I love talking. Musicians, like if you go on a road trip with someone, or like you go on tour with a band, especially if they're like new band members, everyone's going to introduce you to something dope. You know what I mean? Like even the last tour I went on. So, I mean, yeah,
something dope and something awful as well.
Totally.
And you're like, oh, this.
It could show you some insight. We're like, oh, okay, like we try to do a democratic thing where like if you're on the road long enough, everyone chooses a record and it's like, goes in clockwise depending on the car. And sometimes it's really cool. Sometimes you're like, wow, and sometimes you're like, oh, really? Like, we're gonna start off with this? Like, I don't know. It can go either way, but for the most part, yeah, it's so aside from like people today, musicians, DJs, like yeah, friends in high school. If we're talking about back then, like we're totally inspirational, friends. I talked to a couple of them, but to be honest, like I don't really keep in touch with that many people from high school. But it's funny, like yeah, it's like I've managed to be kind of like Peter Pan in a way of still doing music and still following the dream, and like, but like a lot of my friends that like grew up doing that stuff, they're like married and have kids now at this point. So it's like I'm turning into Bud slowly, like working at Whole Foods.
That's sick though, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Be the new Rome, dude. Screw it,
dude. People are just gonna know me on a first name basis. That'd be amazing. It's Marinero, like Rome. No last name.
That's tight. Yeah, one word. But there's been a lot more one names coming around lately, and I was watching some music award thing, and it's like with performances by da da da, and I didn't know anybody, and like half of the names were one name. So you can't. Not everybody could do that. It's just not. Prince did it. Prince.
Sting.
Sting did do it. I mean, he's doing
the Edge.
That's pushing it. That's true.
Yeah.
But he is the something, which is still odd. And that's my whole thought process on the band. Like the gall of them to just be like, we're the band. That's it. That's it. The band of what? No, the band of nothing. Just the band. I mean, and they're good. They're good. And I respect it, but I mean, just to come straight out of the gate with that is
you think it says something about our culture, man, about people growing up today and thinking that they're important?
I mean, you said the words, I just kind of implied the message.
Okay. I'm just reading your facial expressions and what you're mouthing to me.
Yeah.
Between statements. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
not doing any of that.
Within the chat when I'm typing to you to say
totally.
The script.
I will say though, I have to say this to the audience because they won't be able to see this, but you have I believe that's Rocky's mask from the Three Ninjas behind you on your right corner.
Yeah.
That was Rocky, right?
I don't know. My good.
I know it's not. I mean, it's like a traditional mask, but it was appropriated by the Three Ninjas in the Three Ninjas franchise, by these three little characters, brothers. But yeah, if you don't know, it's all good. We can move on.
I will check that out. My good friend Ian got that for me. Shout out to Ian Weir. Love him very much.
Good friend.
He is in the Navy, and he got that in Hong Kong. And he said, I got you a present. I said, what is it? And then it was a mask. It was a little bit broken. I said, I got to hang that up. And if you could see, there's the hand fan thing as well.
Yeah.
That's next to it.
I see that.
And that's where those are both from.
So nice of him. He was like expecting a better reaction from me. He's like, check it out.
No, I mean, I was
and you're like, I haven't seen it.
I don't even think he saw what you're talking about. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm gonna check it out. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll talk to you about this poster here with the building kind of thing. The beige looking black and white one. This is gonna play great for the audio. I got that in your neck of the woods, San Fran.
Oh, nice.
That's where I picked that up at.
Very good. I'm perking up a little.
Yeah. Shout out.
Great. I love the artwork. Yeah.
Let me just tell you, we're 40 minutes into this. I've gotten through one question that I have. No, this is great though. But my next question, which kind of you kind of prompted me into leading into, was what kind of music did your parents play when you were younger?
Oh yeah. Okay. So my dad wasn't listening to the Beatles. We know that. My mom, she grew up in the SF, and so like she has like a lot of good taste in music, and she was always a musical one. She still is. She still sends me like YouTube links. She listens to all sorts of stuff. Like there was Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson. There was like the Beach Boys, Jimi Hendrix, Santana. Like growing up, and there was also like some more traditional stuff. Like there was like Linda Ronstadt had a record, a mariachi record in the 90s, like a couple that came out, and There was a lot of mariachi music. There was like Perez Prado. There was like Alejandro Fernandez. There was Jose Jose. There was like a bunch of. It was a mix. You know, it was you know, as far as the '90s goes, stuff my mom grew up listening to, older music, as well as like just stuff that was going on at the time. You
Yeah, yeah. So not much. So not much of anything, right?
know. Yeah, yeah, just really dry, drab. Yeah. No, it was my mom's very musical. She's very cool. She's not a musician, but she's like very like and I had an aunt, her sister was like going to shows in SF like during in the 60s, you know, flat like total flower power. Like she's like the old head that has the stories that will go off and like just talk like kind of like me, you know, talk for a long time about uh, about the glory days.
The glory days of
Um,
Sublime. So like what you seen
exactly.
like Minor Threat and Husker Du and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, minor theft for sure. It involved in the Fugazi, you know. But yeah, you know, like when I got a little bit older, you know, my aunt getting into minor threat? Hell no.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
okay,
yes, in
that's a
San
joke. I'm just
Francisco in the
that's
Flower
so
Power.
funny. Yeah, she was like into DC hardcore. She was like, yeah, dude. Like, no, she was not. Yeah, she's funny. She's got like Janis Joplin, like Southern Comfort, Jimi Hendrix stories, and they, you know, but no Husker Du, no Pennywise, bro him.
And you're
Uh,
100% that she's never met Ian MacKay.
That's
You
a
put
good
money
question.
on it. Yeah.
Ian's come down. He's come out here for a few gigs. You know, like he's played Golden Gate Park, but there may be some crossover, like a Youth Quake reunion and like a you know, hang and like a free Fugazi show. Like who knows?
For sure.
$5
Well,
Fugazi
five,
show.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say
yeah.
$5. Yeah, yeah, roughly.
All ages. Yeah, it's all,
Yeah, and she was into SSD control as well, correct?
yeah. Definitely. No, she wasn't. She was like she's like stuck in the 60s, which is like really great, like 60s, 90s. And but yeah, that they were like the cool people in my life that were actually like had like the conversation of music. Um like they made it possible, or like they made it like actually cool. Like um I've become what my aunt has like highlighted. Basically. I guess maybe as a model, like I've turned into like a musician. Who knows if it has anything to do with her, but let's just give her credit.
Does she dig your sound, your music? Does she put it on? She's like, I like this.
It wasn't always like that, man. But yeah, like lately,
She came around.
She came around. Well, yeah, the thing is, like, I joke about it, but like my last record before this one, like like the songwriting changed a little bit, or the style changed a little bit, where we were even joking about it when we were recording it. Friends of mine, like, we're like, this is like mom music, like in the best way of like this is like oldies that a mom would listen to. And like I've played some shows, and when I see like an older mom come through with like her iPhone, I'm like, this, hell yeah, this is the audience. Like just the
Up
fact that
front,
it's bringing back some nostalgia, or if it's like if something they can get into, I'm like, yeah, mom's bump. You know, moms know good music. And at least my aunt, my mom
yeah.
do. So,
I
but yeah,
was talking to my mom last night, and I said, yes, I'm interviewing this guy tomorrow. And she said, what does his sound like? And I meant to put it on, and then she mentioned Pearl Charles, who has been on the podcast. She's like, I really like her music. And then we ended up listening to Pearl Charles, and she really liked that. And then we didn't get around to it, but I'm gonna show her it. And I'm like, hey, I'm actually gonna have her follow you on Instagram. That's what my mom likes to know, who's been on the podcast. She likes
perfect.
to be on the up and up about it.
I don't
And
generally ask this, like what people's favorite songs are, but
mhm.
ask your mom what her favorite song is, just because, like, just so I can know how to, you know, steer the next album.
For sure, I will
I
play
need
her
to
the album.
navigate. Yeah,
Yes, and like this has been a lot of jokes and it's been fun, but I'm genuinely gonna do this, and I will tell you what she says.
thank you.
I know that she'd be down with the music, but we got wrapped up in some other stuff, and then I didn't end up playing it. But she's coming home today, so I'm gonna play her.
I like that we talked about both your mom and your dad on this podcast.
Yeah,
And
I don't
yeah,
talk about them very often. I talk about my grandma. I've mentioned her quite often on this podcast, but not so much my parents. But I love them very
nice,
much. Yeah, love you,
nice.
mom
I'm
and
glad I
dad.
could bring that. I'm glad I could bring
Yes,
that out. Yeah.
yeah, man. Yeah,
These other musicians, they just talk about themselves, and they're like, my process, and then they forget that, it's a two-way conversation,
You know,
you're a person too.
I listened to a lot of Larry King interviews, and you know what he always says? He's like, if you are talking about yourself, it is a terrible interview. It's not supposed to be about you. And
yeah. I mean, yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah. They're clicking on my name. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't put my name up there. I don't, you think my name's on this? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's the Vineyard, not my,
it's like interviewer, like 101. It's like
101. Yeah.
Probably ask questions. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
so I got it out of you. I hacked you, man.
I have a whole thing.
Let's do some.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that you were running the ship. My apologies.
My mistake.
I forgot that you're the sailor. I forgot that you're the sailor. My apologies.
Yeah. I'm not the captain. I'm the sailor.
Yeah.
Like the La Bamba song that you're probably referencing to. Or
yeah,
maybe.
of course. I'm hearkening to that. Yes, you know me, man. I'm on the pulse of what's going on in musically. That's why I have you on here, dude. You're gonna blow up. You're gonna be rich, man.
Oh man, you're too kind.
What was your first job? The very first
job. Did you have the restaurant chain out here called Chevy's?
No.
Chevy's? It's like I feel like they owned a couple other companies. Maybe it was
oh, you think about Chili's? Yeah, I've been to Chili's.
Maybe it was also owned by Chili's.
No,
Chevy's, like
Chevy's.
Chevy Chase.
Yeah,
and it was like the Tex-Mex restaurant.
Okay.
And in high school, when I was 17, I worked at this like Tex-Mex like restaurant. I worked as like a busser. I worked as a host. I was still in high school as a senior, and it was around the time that like the Latin Renaissance of the late 90s started to happen. So we got like Santana's and Rob Thomas's Smooth. We had Ricky Martin's Living La Vida Loca. We also had Lou Bega, like a little bit of Ashley, Mambo number 5. And I feel like Mark Anthony was also blowing up, but they would play like the same 4 songs. It felt like all the time. Like you would hear Santana, Smooth, like fucking all like at that place. But yeah, that was the first job. And it was that or college, I think. I chose that for a while. I was just like working, and eventually went back to school and started getting student loans and stuff like that.
Where did you go to school?
I went to community college in the North Bay where I grew up. And
I meant high school, but okay, it's fine. No, it's fine.
Okay, high school.
No. No. Please continue. You did the 2-year thing.
Community college. Yeah. I did like just started off just taking music classes, and just anything that would like give my life color. Because like I was like working. I was so used to working full time, and like I was in this place where I was feeling like there was routine, but I needed to get out of it, man. So I was like, I just took like a couple music classes, and immediately my life started to feel like refreshed, and like and there were things that I cared about. Right, I didn't really care about high school as much. I graduated luckily, but yeah, I started getting back into music classes slowly. Like I would take classes during like my lunch break at my job. Like I would like jam over there and fucking eat like during a 15-minute break and go take a class during my hour 20 lunch that my bosses were cool with me having, and then I would come back and I was still like loving it. I was like, this is great, I love school. And then slowly I started to take more classes, and eventually I started getting into Spanish. I started getting into Latin American studies, and they had a degree or a focus called like Raza Studies at SF State. Eventually I went there and graduated. But yeah, like it went from like community college doing music, eventually doing a little bit of traveling. Like I spent more time in Mexico when I was taking classes at community college, and realized like, like this might be a better focus. I'm always going to play music, but to study a language, or get into this culture that, I find really interesting or I'm a part of,
That commute's insane if you were taking like an hour 20 to get from Mexico to SF.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. We're talking like portals at this point. We're talking like Holograms or no, yeah, I was living in North Bay in like San Rafael at the time and taking college of Marin. Um, but transcendentally like leaving my body at night and going back to Mexico at when I was streaming at night. But I'm just kidding. But yeah,
Meditation,
college
transcendental
meditation. Yeah.
meditation.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you meditate?
I don't meditate. I used to like when I was I was at one point in my life I was working at Whole Foods and I was getting
Bud
sort of
style?
into bud style. And I was sort of getting into meditation at that point. I had a coworker that grew up in Marin and they'd done transcendental meditation since they were very young and it was very cheap. And it has since then like become something very, very expensive and maybe sort of like a class thing. But they made meditation seem cool and like I tried it out and I liked the idea of just I like the fact that I felt more relaxed. I'm an anxious person, I think, a lot of the time, or drink a lot of coffee. But if I'm relaxed, and you know what, sometimes I make okay choices or I make better choices. And it's not something I practice today, but it's something I know that I can like fall back on if I'm feeling like stressed out about something.
Yeah, let me tell you that sounds like something that a coworker from Whole Foods
Whole
would get
Foods.
you into because I worked at a pavilions and that was not the vibe at all there. Nobody was practicing meditation at all, nor was there an hour 20 lunch breaks. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh yeah. The hour and 20 lunch breaks. I was working at a music store. I wasn't working at Whole Foods at that point.
Okay.
I
All
was
right.
working at like a music instrument store. So it was like
Real laid
rockers
back.
were like my bosses. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're laid back.
Yeah.
Go, man. Go for it, bro. It was like eruption playing in the background.
I mean, that's great. I mean, but an hour 20 lunch, that's even greater, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
What drove you to start making music? What was the send off that really was the catalyst?
Just seeing like a friend of mine down the street that lived down the street. Seen him play a show. Seen like a friend I knew, like someone that I actually personally knew, play a show, and it was like at a venue in Petaluma, California, close to Napa, like where Shannon Shaw kind of grew up. And it was I remember it
Shout
was
out to Shannon Shaw, real quick.
yeah, shout out to Shannon Shaw, who I love very much and Bay Area legend and has helped me out greatly.
Amazing.
Amazing person. And yeah, it was seeing my friend's band open for like some Asian man record ska punk bands at the time. It was like Link 80 um and some other local bands, but it was like seeing a friend down the street play, and then when you see someone doing it, it's like, oh wow, anyone can do this, or like I can do this too, and maybe I could give it a try. And within like a year I started my own band. I just wanted to try it out. I was playing a little bit of bass at the time, and I wasn't like a great like guitarist. I was never like a really like showy and it shows today. But I think I just focused on like just composing, breaking down songs and kind of developing a little bit of an ear for it. Like I'm trying to like pick out parts and things, and that's what happens when you just learn on your own or learn from listening to CDs and records. And eventually I went to school for it, like at College of Marin or junior college. But yeah, it was seeing people I know or having, I guess, like relatable models that made it seem possible,
Hmm.
then and that's where it started.
So how long was it after you started making this music that you played your first show?
It was pretty quick, man. It was like from seeing him, like my friend's band play, it was like within a year after that I started playing my first show. I had my first show.
That's really quick.
Yeah.
How do you feel it went? You think it went well?
It wasn't, no, wasn't that good. It was like, it was not that good, not that well attended. But I still had those friends that I was talking about, those like the support, from people, and that really helps, like community, people helping you out. And I feel like SF in some ways is like, there's a lot of good, there's a small scene, but they're really, really supportive people with each other. Everyone seems like, it's not true, but it feels like you kind of know everyone.
Mhm.
and people are really supportive. SF or the Bay Area is a great place to nurture something, or where you don't feel too intimidated. Like down here, LA, Southern California, it's probably way more intimidating to try to start something because there's so much, But in the Bay, it just felt like, um, it's not quite as harsh, maybe, where people are able to get your back on that.
Yeah, definitely. What was your first band called? What was that? What was the name of that project?
Oh man, it was called Smokin' Roscoe's.
Sick. Where did that
Yeah,
name
yeah.
come from?
It was one of the band members was reading. What's the name of the author who wrote Black Dahlia Murder? James Elroy. Anyway, does maybe I'm wrong. But there
Maybe
was
you're
like a
right.
line. Yeah, maybe you're right. There was a line, I think, a slang term in this like old noir, like LA noir book that he read that said Roscoe, and it was like a term for like a gun. So it was like the idea of like these smoking guns, like smoking Roscoe's. But it just sounded cool.
That's
Like it was like,
badass, dude.
yeah, it's badass. Yeah.
I didn't know you work at the record store, dude. That's crazy.
I work at the record store. I'm like the boss. I'm like
You're the
telling myself
boss.
to take it. Yeah, I'm like, hey, like younger me. I'm like, I'm also a time traveler and a shapeshifter.
Have you done transcendental meditation, bro? I'm telling you, man, you should. I went to Mexico this morning. I'm in this classroom.
That's so good. Dude, I'm like, I'm the student and the teacher. I love that simultaneously.
What's up? I learned
Great.
from myself.
I'm like Mr. Miyagi and Daniel-san. That's pretty
Like,
badass.
we play both roles. Hey, man, maybe that's like the next name for the album. Like teacher and the student.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
It's like it'd be like me with a turtleneck, like substitute teacher style, like
Yeah.
Mr. U, like YOU, and then like all the classmates, student are all me too, and it's like totally relatable. Like even though you recognize that it's me, you're like that. Also, I feel like that could be me. Like I don't know.
Yeah. No, I like it. And then on the back of the album,
That's the album.
it's like all of the students are like getting up and then they're facing you, who is the teacher, who's the substitute teacher, and they're all teaching you, but you're in the seat.
That dude, you're onto it, man. Like
That's
it's
sick.
also really um like the it's like reflection, like it's like the perspective of the teacher or from the students and what the teacher is doing, and the teacher might not even like be teaching. He could just be like,
I'm a cool guy.
I'm a cool guy, I'm the cool teacher. And then like the students, like when they're all like holding like, they're like I don't know, like doing like origami, or they're like showing how to like Rubik's cube, or like whatever kids
Oh,
would be
that
doing.
that
Like,
that'd be cool. Rubik's
yeah,
cube is,
like
yeah.
one of them's holding like a calculator. Like, no, actually, you're wrong. They're like, by my calculations, that's great.
Yeah.
Teacher and the student, dude. What a high bar.
Yeah.
What a high bar I would have to like. Dude, that's how you do it though. You just have an idea. You have this conceptual idea,
Yeah.
and then we just
And
write pop songs.
you see it to fruition. Well, I have you started on the new album yet? Like you're kind of behind if you haven't.
Yeah. You're the only person to say that. I love you.
It's like,
Um,
yeah, man, like that one was cool. That was really cool. But like,
yeah, yeah,
what's
yeah. That's
the
awesome.
when's
Yeah,
the
that's the
next
next one.
studio session? Like, you got anything written down or what?
um, I got a couple ideas. Yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah, nothing. No, luckily, there's no pressure
I
except
mean,
from
I'm
you.
I'm
But
set I'm
yeah,
setting it, dude. Like, yeah, people are hungry, man.
yeah,
Gotta
gotta keep them. You gotta keep
yeah,
people happy. You gotta give them a new thing, a new sugary thing every week.
yeah.
No, it's gonna take a while, but I'm already
Okay.
starting some ideas. But you wanna like the last record was so like Bay Area heavy, and it's like um like there was a lot to process moving. There was a lot to process about like saying goodbye to certain patterns of your life, and just like if you have a last day on the job, or you have a last day like at school, or if your last day anywhere, you kind of have like a little bit of, or if you only have like 24 hours to live, or whatever the scenario, that you tend to appreciate things a little bit more that you might have overlooked. And so now that I'm in LA, I'm like, it's like, how do I make? Yeah, it's like it's. I'm looking at certain characteristics here to kind of maybe influence the record too. Is what I'm saying. There's a form, and I guess at this point, the music's kind of become a little bit trying to talk about certain topical issues, trying to relate it to my life, and yeah, I'm just trying to get into other styles too. Like listen to a lot of like Fania, a lot of salsa, mambo. Trying to get some different ideas for next music. So yeah, I've already started a little bit, and the band here that I'm working with, everyone's so good and everyone's so cool. So it's like I'm fortunate to work with some new players out here
That's good.
and see where that goes.
Yeah. So Hella Love is
Mhm.
based off of like closing a chapter
Exactly.
as it is written. So I mean, what exactly does that mean? What does that mean to you?
To me, it just literally meant like I'm leaving this place that I like grew up, or this place that I came from, and I just thought it would be like a nice flex to like just be like, I love all of you. I'm leaving. I love my friends. I love my, and try to leave with like something positive, something that's very colloquial. I mean, people in Southern California, I'm sure they say hella, but it's very Northern California recognizably.
It is. It
Yeah.
definitely is. Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't want something just to be about a specific region. You want it to be like relatable to anyone, but I wanted to do kind of hyper focus like friends and family and things like that on this record. Um, so yeah, it's no student becomes teacher, but it's some heavy themes on that level though.
Well, so you're referencing like a chapter of your life
Yeah.
if you're looking at your life through a book, right? So do you like the book so far?
If I look, it's like an audiobook. Yeah, I like it so far.
So
Yeah.
you so you bought it and you're popping it in
Yeah.
like a CD, and it's like
Yeah.
you're kind of a little bit lost because you got to turn it down sometimes because you don't want to shut off the stereo. Like if you're going through a drive-through, it's like I'm kind
Yeah.
of like in both worlds, and then
Definitely. And when I'm at like in and out and I'm like ordering, I'm like, oh, I just missed something. Like, oh, I should go back and re-listen to
shit,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to have all my focus. Yeah. I'm enjoying it so far. It's like it's weird to say that about your own art, but yeah, I mean, you want to make stuff that you enjoy, and I'm sure like every musician on here probably enjoys their music, to a certain extent.
And
I love it. So
and I enjoy their music. That's why they're on
yeah,
here. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There's exceptions, not to name names.
I'm not saying anything, but
No, I mean that the silence was to indicate that it was directed towards
we're not gonna say anything else.
a man of the sea, if anything. No.
Okay, a seaman.
A seaman, yeah, one of those classic seamans.
Mm-hmm.
The name came from your father. Yes.
Sort of. It's like it wasn't. It was kind of a play on the fact that like I in like north of SF, there's like the county of Marin. So I grew up in Marin. So it's like it's a play on that Marinero, and it's also like my dad literally sailed here in the '60s from well, he was like trying to beat the draft during the Vietnam War. It's like '67, and so he was like trying to be off the radar and like sailing. And he ended up in the Bay Area. He's from the East Coast, but it was also kind of like a way to sort of like homage like both my parents, like they're both of their stories. My dad being a sailor, my mom being Mexican American, so it was kind of like Marinero was just kind of like a fun way to do that.
And the hella
And like
love between them. Yes.
hella love between them. Exactly. Yeah.
North.
Exactly.
That's a North term for sure.
Yeah.
Do you really feel like there is a beef between LA and San Francisco?
No, dude.
Okay.
Like
right.
it's like a fake beef that maybe people in the Bay Area may have believed in the 90s. But I mean, SF is like there's so many nerds that have moved there and changed our city and there's so many people from the Bay that have moved to LA, to Portland, to New York. to wherever else that we're all like, you know, we're all buddies, right? Like, you know, like, because like I feel like when I've talked to people from Southern California about this like fake beef, it usually comes from people in the Bay Area who don't really have any experiences with LA and say like really cliche things like, oh yeah, people are really plastic down there, you know, or like, and then like people down here are like, what? There's a beef? Like, and it's kind of a joke being like a huge city like LA that's like has so much more going on. It's kind of like it's kind of like it's kind of a joke, you know. But there's
And
no real beef today.
everyone sounds like they're the manager of a music store down there. What?
Yeah. That's a character, yeah, for sure. Yeah, everyone sounds like that character.
Wait, what's up? No, yeah, dude. No.
That's funny. There's no real beef, yeah. Like
It
like
starts with oh yeah and it ends with no. It's common
oh yeah,
misdirection.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. No, yeah. That's also that's reciprocate those.
Yeah.
So what prompted the moving? What drew you down here?
Just from like touring and playing more shows in Southern California, you just meet more musicians. You meet like you find out about like the scene that's happening here. Maybe the social media and like finding out about other bands and things like that. But just realizing that there's just a lot going on down here, and I'm just really inspired by a lot of the artists and musicians down here. So I just felt like being closer to that, and also just there's a lot more musicians that I just wanted to work with down here. Like I've written all the songs on the records, but the last two albums I've kind of taken more of a producer role where I've played on it, but I've kind of worked with different groups of musicians, and I kind of like that that role, or I like working with people in that context. And the people I worked with in the Bay were great, and it worked out for the time being. But I feel there's more people down here that I feel like understand the context of what I'm doing a little bit more. That makes sense. Yeah, there's just a lot more musicians too, down here.
That's a long answer.
Yeah.
No, that's great, man. That's really good. Do you feel like because you're kind of gaining some new inspiration for the next album whenever you get to do that, but do you feel like there's greater inspiration here, or like just, I mean, it's different, but do you think that there's more things to pull from since moving down here?
I mean, it's weird in a way, like yes, like because like there's so much culture down here and there's so much history down here, that which is inspiring. And but I haven't done a lot since I've moved here. Like I've been here for like 6 or 8 months, and in a pandemic, I still spend a lot of time at home, or when I meet people, it's very, it's way more limited, but the friends that I met from LA are really like good people, or really like creative artists in certain ways, and are able to like educate me a little bit about certain aspects of LA that I find really inspiring, but yeah, it's like it took me a while to feel comfortable like creating music once I moved right away, like being in a new place, processing the move, whatever it was. But I finally come around like 8 months later to feeling more comfortable and starting to get that ball rolling, so I'm feeling, it's hard to say, how whatever we create will compare to the last thing, but I'm feeling pretty confident and pretty good about where things are headed, and having like a label that's like, we support you for 2 more records, and we're gonna put out your the 2 more albums. So, and it's validating and inspiring too. But I feel really lucky and fortunate, also, yeah, it's like you want, and getting more attention from people. It's a really interesting place to be, where I feel like not many people have known about my stuff, and it's just starting to like percolate a little bit, or people starting to recognize a little bit more. And that's really exciting, to be a part of. So getting some good feedback from people, and just want to keep making, great music. It's like all I need to really focus on in life right now. It's great.
That's awesome, man. When did the idea of working with Harley Art for this new album come about? How did that happen?
It was like through Shayna Cleveland from La Luz, and like
Shout out to Shayna. She's great.
Shout out to Shayna. She's great. It wasn't for actually for her or some other friends. It wouldn't have, the conversation wouldn't have even happened, but it was basically the label that La Luz is on. I sent Shayna like an early version of the record, and she just was really nice, dude. She listened to it. She's like, "Who's putting it out?"
She's a little bit too nice. She came on the podcast, and I was like, "This is."
Yeah, you're like,
this
isn't how normal musicians are.
This is not. No.
Yeah, she's too Jedi. Yeah, I get it.
Everyone who's been on here has been an absolute pleasure. Exceptions to every rule.
Let you down, but
yeah. No, man. This has been great too, dude. It's been fun. But like, I think so. I don't need you to just say it. I mean, I actually believe this. I'm not just gonna try to force feed you words. I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna put that snippet in to like the beginning.
It was fun. Could try it one more time.
Yeah. Let's.
Wow, this is fun.
That was a little bit just emotionless. I want to say, dude, you should try acting, man. I think that would be that
classic. Musician moves to LA, like gets distracted from making music, starts doing like spoken word poetry and acting, like to I don't know.
That's what happened with Rodney Dangerfield, man. He came out here and he had like 4 albums, man.
He was a musician?
No, but could you imagine that he did Caddyshack?
I was thinking like Joe Pet, like it's like Joe Pesci is
Joe, but he actually sings. I don't think that Rodney Dangerfield actually sung.
God, that'd be amazing.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be great. He was like so affiliated with like the Rat Pack. That's why like I believed you. I was like, oh yeah, he was like one of those.
Absolutely, he was a crooner.
One of those classics. Yeah. But classic formula moved the Rodney Dangerfield formula of moving to LA. Yeah, with like a so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and like so naive when Rodney first got here. He was like, he had no idea what to expect, and this industry totally changed him, and things got dark and.
He didn't break until he was like 50 though. And that's really true, which is like insane.
But dude, he's like one of those like guys that in their 20s like looked like he was probably 50. Like
but those are the best dudes, because if you like Larry David, man, like he's looked 70 since he was 50.
Yeah.
So that looks great when you're 70.
Yeah, if you're a comedian, I think that's the formula for sure. Yeah, if you're like a child actor, you're screwed. If you're Macaulay Culkin, yeah.
This kid looks 35. He's 9.
That's funny. Joe Pesci was actually 9 in the Home Alone series. Yeah.
Joe Pesci was 9. Joe Pesci.
Yeah. All right. We're getting wacky here. The Sticky Bandits. They were adults.
That's like the guy at the music store's like cousin that it comes in sometimes. Like when he's in town, he's like rolling through.
Right. This is the guy. Yeah. you usually try to find busy work to keep yourself like, even he's too much and you don't want to be around him,
yeah, man. I got a lot of stuff on my plate right now. I can't really.
I gotta price these records, man.
I gotta find this kid that's he's an hour and 20 minutes late, and I don't know. I just sent him to lunch.
Yeah, he said he'd be back. He's trying to be a student now. He's trying to go to college. He's trying to be somebody. Idiot.
What makes music stand out to you, man? Like what really grabs your attention when listening to something?
Like melody songwriting, like it's like one of those simple answers where like something just gets stuck in your head, and I think there's something to that, like a good melody will get stuck in my head, and I'll carry it with me. Sometimes I won't even know what it's about, like the lyrics, but it's just the melody and the chord progression is important to me, or something that stands out to me when I listen to other music,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When do you find this inspiration hits you, like in a melody sense or anything? Like when do you in the shower, when you're falling asleep?
I mean, it could be like any which one, anything, but it's not always going to happen when we want it to, and there's no real formula for it. But I think as long as I really give myself time to play music, because I can get lazy. I'm not like practicing guitar all the time. I'll do other things, but if I can actually give myself time to music, time to like work on music, chances are like at least something will come from it, But and sometimes it just needs a little bit of like room to breathe, or you need to give yourself some separation from it. Usually you'll know, like I'll know when I have a part that I really love. Sometimes like if a part that's like mediocre, I'll be really critical about it. And then like a couple months later, I'll listen to a voice memo, and it'll be kind of forgotten about. And I'll listen to it and I'll be like, oh, what's that? Like, forget how to play that. That sounds, God, I have to learn how to play that. And then I'll listen to it. Sometimes parts will kind of appear after time too. But yeah, generally it's just, this is, after doing it long enough, it's just like, just giving it time, chances are you'll find something. But it's funny too with music, like sometimes you'll come up with a part and you're like, oh, this sounds like, this is actually another song. This is actually like another melody,
That
so you gotta
happens
be careful.
so much, man. Like I'll be working something like, oh,
Yeah.
that's it's Rascal Flats.
Yeah, or it's West Side Story, bro. Like,
yeah.
or,
This is the
yeah.
theme from Grease. This is it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song off the new album? Your personal favorite?
Oh, for my own album, what's my favorite song? Wow. I like the last song because it's like completely different than any of the other songs. And I like that about it. It's called Frisco Ball, and it's like more of a disco song. And I just like the idea of starting with a style or a song that maybe some people who've listened to my music might recognize and be like, okay, this is the thing that I'm used to. And then the songs kind of evolve over time a little bit more. And then by the end of it, it's like, how did we get here? How did we get to like a Giorgio Moroder part? Or how did we get to like this sort of like disco, even like Daft Punk sounding, like 70s, like vocoder? And how did we get here? Like, I kind of like that idea of like doing something that was completely different than any other style that I've ever done. And it's just a taking a chance on something stylistically and trying to make it yours, and I like that about the song.
That's awesome, man. That's great. And the album's fucking fantastic, and everybody should be listening. So and they can find the new album at art.com, as well as your other discography is on your Bandcamp as well, right?
Exactly. All the other discography, the new records on Bandcamp as well, and it's all all the normal places that you'd search, like Apple, Spotify.
It's on all like streaming platforms, right?
All the things. Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, dude.
You're welcome, man. It was fun.
This is gonna be
edited. Did you hear that one? That was genuine. Yeah.
I don't know. We're gonna have to take it again. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you in a second. I'm gonna stop recording this. All right.
Sounds good.
All right.